All right, we rolling? All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Malik back again, dropping some more knowledge for the future 1%ers, anybody else trying to achieve that financial freedom. Now, today's content is going to be a little bit different. This is something that I'm going to call the show for the moment. And ideally, I just want this to be a platform or a piece of content, rather, that has, we're going to bring in other entrepreneurs, people from other industries who have solid business minds, who can help kind of just share some of the information that they have, as well as other tips that we can use in our own business. So today I have Zach from Pocket Properties. Now I'm gonna let Zach introduce himself in a second, but Pocket Properties caught my attention because they're a small tech startup. They had very little funding to start, and they did everything as far as the marketing, the promotion, boots on the ground, the old school way, with very little money. And that's extremely difficult to do as a tech startup. And again, I'll let Zach explain all this, but I believe they've raised over $80,000 on WeFunder, and they already have over 2,000 people signed up for the waitlist for a product that they haven't even launched yet. There's a lot of good things going on with this company. And Zach, go ahead, man, take the reins.
Yeah, thanks, Malik. Just first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on the show. And that's, for right now, it's a solid name for sure.
For sure.
I appreciate you having me, and I've watched some of your other content, and I'm glad to be a part of helping people achieve their financial freedom. That is also a part of what Pocket Properties is focused on. One of our main mission statements is, to help people achieve financial freedom for themselves and be able to use the financial tools that have been previously barred from them in the past.
That's
so
awesome.
I just want to say thanks for having me on the show, and I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, look, I'm excited to have you on here, man. I mean, you guys are in the tech industry, which is a little bit different than what we normally go over with here. But I mean, I understand there's a lot of things that are reflected in business in each industry. And I think that you'll have a lot of solid advice, especially being, the CMO of Pocket Properties. You understand everything. I mean, it was you who pretty much came up with the marketing strategy, who implemented these things. So, I mean, I really want to pick your brain. We talk a lot about the marketing here, and you follow this channel. So, I'm big on the social media platforms of Facebook ads, Google ads, stuff like that. But for people who are taking more of a kind of a boots on the ground approach, I think they can learn a lot from you. So really, let's just hop right into it, man. I mean, I want to understand, how did you approach your marketing? I mean, as a small tech startup, you don't have a lot of funds. How do you break into something like that?
Yeah, what Pocket Properties is we're a platform that, allows people to buy, sell, and trade fractional shares of real estate. So what this means is basically, in the previous market structure, people could not actually freely invest in real estate unless you were at basically the top 10% of wealth. So what we're aiming to do is change that so everybody can participate in the real estate markets.
Got you. Okay. So in layman's terms, you guys are pretty much allowing the average person to be able to invest in real estate, similar to how they're able to invest in a stock, perhaps. So if you wanted to buy into a share, you wanted to get some ownership of, let's say, Tesla, you purchase a piece of their stock for whatever the amount is. You guys are essentially doing that with real estate.
Correct. Yeah. So what that looks like is just like, buying a share of Tesla. Let's say, you don't have $1,000. Currently, Tesla's trading around about $1,000, if I remember correctly. So you don't have, $1,000 to buy one full share. So what that looks like on the real estate end, you wouldn't have, most people don't have the capital to purchase, a full property. But yeah, they would like to secure their wealth in diversified ways, such as stocks and real estate. So what that looks like is you can basically buy $10 worth of shares of a property that you like. So we'll list all the information on the property, just like you would see if you were going to purchase the home. Or so it will be like that, with a mix of information that would be available on a stock trading platform.
Gotcha. That's awesome, man. And really, that's what kind of drew me to your product, because you guys are making something available to, people who may not have had that available before. And that's what I'm huge on, is freedom, and in all walks of life, financial freedom, physical freedom, every single way that you can have freedom. And that's another way that you guys are providing it. And another thing about the Tesla stock, take note to all the people, the younger guys out there. Tesla, when I first found out about it, I was in university and I was in a business class. They dropped, we had a whole class on it when the stock went public. I think it was around $320 or something like that when it went public. And, I was just sitting there looking at it like, I wonder what that's all about. Lo and behold, 5 years later, however long it's been, now Tesla's pretty much at, it's taken over. So I just want to leave this in here, man. Take note of that stuff. because you never really know what the next big thing is. And you know, I think that truly in my heart, I think Pocket Properties, what they're doing with this market, I think this could be something like that. So again, like, I'm not being paid to promote them or anything. This is just truly what I believe. I think that this can be that next thing. You know what I mean? If you get on in this early enough, who knows? But back to the conversation at hand. How did you come up with, you know, your marketing approach? Given now we understand a little bit more about your company, how did you design an approach that was so effective?
Yeah, and really, what I did is, you know, I've had a little bit of experience, you know, creating drop shipping websites, things like that. So I kind of had a base to work off of and understanding to go off of. So from there, I kind of looked at, you know, how marketing departments are structured in other companies. I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel by any means. I was trying to do what's effective and implement it into our marketing campaign. So what that looked like is, you know, you have to identify some of your strengths and weaknesses to start off. You don't want to go hiring someone that, you know, is equally as qualified as you in the same areas. You kind of want to diversify your skill set in the marketing department. That way you can, you know, be more effective in your goals at hand. So what that looked like for me, the first thing that I needed to do is, because I'm more of a numbers guy, I'm an investor, is my main background. So what that looks like to me, it was, I was getting someone who was, you know, super creative, and his name is Justin. He's been a part of the team from basically day one. He's helped, you know, brainstorm ideas and structures. So we've gone through this together. You know, you would ask, you know, him what makes sense to you for your capabilities. What are you good at? What are you not good at? That way we can ultimately move forward and be effective.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And that's a huge thing that you said right there, is team. And I'm going to write little notes on here so I don't forget my thoughts as you're explaining things. But what I've learned is that having a team, and it doesn't matter what you do, having a team is almost the most important thing when it comes to scaling a business, especially one that has kind of the ambitions that you guys are going after. You guys want to touch the whole world with the product. You can't do it by yourself, man. So even in the landscape industry, you can reach maybe 100,000, 200,000 fairly easy by yourself or with one extra helper. But to scale past that, I mean, you really need to focus on the team aspect. And I believe Alex Hormozy said this. Now check out his content if you haven't. A lot of great content. He the founder of Gymshark, multi-million-dollar company. You know, and he gives a lot of solid advice. He said that in order for a company to be successful, and now mind you, he's exited out of, I think, 3 or 4 different companies, you know, for a lot of money. So he knows what he's talking about. You have to have three key players, and 2 of those should be superstars. Now, if you have 2 superstars and 1 person that's just good enough, then you should be good. These people should be spread out in 3 areas. All right. 1 is customer acquisition and sales. 2 is product delivery, making sure that whatever the service you guys are providing is done properly. And 3rd is the back office, who deals with the tax, the payroll, everything, Uncle Sam, and everything, you know, HR. Once you have all these 3 things kind of dealt with, your company can expand to levels, you know, just kind of beyond what you could do by yourself. And it sounds like that's another huge thing about your success, man. You guys have a extremely strong team around you, you know, and that's something that I've had kind of a difficulty building on my own. So I understand how difficult that is. Now, if I may ask you, how did you guys kind of get to that point? How did you decide as far as, you know, the vetting process? What do you look for when you're bringing on new team members?
Yeah, that's a hard one to put into words, because even when you're in these interviews, it's a lot of, what do they say? 80% of communication is nonverbal, and we did conduct these via Zoom meetings as well. So what this looked like is, you know, when we get in there, we ask, you know, a number of questions in the interview process, and these will basically give us a feel for, you know, the kind of ambition somebody has, the way they carry themselves, and then, you know, the goals that they want to achieve. So, you know, as long as those 3 things are mostly, you know, aligned with our vision, you know, they've got a good chance of joining the team. They also have to understand the scale of this project. It's not going to happen overnight. They got to be willing to work, you know, towards the end goal.
I see. Okay, now, and this kind of just something that hits me. when you're looking for somebody, do you more look for a skill set? I understand skill set's important, but how important is actually compatibility with what you're doing and what your team is doing? Is that, I mean, can you teach somebody to be a part of your team if they have the right makeup?
Yeah, and for the most part, marketing is always changing. I'm sure you know this. It changes every several months to what's effective, what isn't effective, what platforms you could use. So ultimately, I would say how we hired early for the marketing department was based off of certain skill sets that we were looking for at the time. So what that looks like in what we were looking for early on was definitely skill based, but the way they carry themselves definitely is a part of that. So when we were early on hiring, when I hired Justin, I seen on the resume, he's getting his degree in business administration and then a minor in film. So that was kind of the perfect fit because he understands, how he's understanding how a business runs. And then also he has the creative mindset to, implement these new strategies and produce content that we needed to produce. So that was definitely a big key thing that we were looking for, was definitely, the baseline of skills definitely helps. But in the end, marketing is consistently changing. So you need a team that can quickly adapt. So definitely getting people with mental elasticity, which is definitely hard to judge in an interview process, but you can tell a lot by the way someone carries themselves, the way they talk about their goals in lives and so on. So
see, that's great right there. So compatibility and congruency is absolutely, important from everything that everyone's ever told me. And I'm glad that you guys are kind of taking that same approach, which is obviously why you had the success that you had. Now, when it comes to the actual marketing approach, I mean, what did you guys do that you found out that worked? And obviously what would you do that didn't work? And how did you kind of narrow down onto what exactly you guys wanted to do?
Yeah, and so I'd say, there's several things that we attempted to do. First of all, we established a social media presence on basically every major social media platform. That gave us a way to start building out that base layer of information of what is working, what isn't working. And from there, you dive deeper into the capabilities of each of these platforms. And what we ended up finding out pretty early on, it wasn't right away by any means, but it takes a little while to gather this information. But what we saw was that when we were creating Instagram Reels and TikTok-based content, that we saw a 99% reach to non-followers, which is basically unheard of in the organic reach campaign, I guess you could say.
Hold on, bro. You repeat that, man. You said you got out what the videos were showing to 99% of the people watching the videos didn't see your content before.
Correct. So what that basically means is that's like the main goal of marketers. There's the top funnel. This is basically what I'm addressing here, is that, the top of the funnel, we are getting 99% new eyes on the product. So what this looked like, out of 1,000 people, only one of them was currently following our campaign. So, or 10 of them, I'm sorry. So.
Oh no, I get you. And that's absolutely nuts. And I haven't, delve into the reels and, kind of that stuff because I haven't really needed to in this industry, as my target market is a little bit older and they don't really partake in that stuff as much. But just to hear that number, I mean, imagine putting out a YouTube video. Let's say this video, 99% of the viewers didn't see this stuff here before. I mean, that's a whole market that you guys are being able to adapt. So, I mean, that's absolutely huge when it comes to marketing and absolutely the goal, man. So kudos to you guys. Was that a result of something that you did, or is that just kind of how the algorithm works there?
Well, there's definitely a couple of things that contribute. The algorithm definitely has an effect on the reach that you can get from the content you produce. So what that looks like, just a little tip for people looking to create Instagram Reels. If you put any kind of TikTok watermarks on it, you'll get, shadow banned is what a lot of people refer to it as. But basically, this is just Instagram not wanting to, promote their main competitor on their own platform. So they're not going to show you, unless it's a super trending video from somebody probably with a lot of established followers. They might have more success using something with TikTok watermarks, but a smaller platform with less than 10,000 followers, that it's not going to get pushed out to many people. So you
I
want to
see.
avoid using certain things on each platform to maximize your effectiveness. And then as you're learning about each of these algorithms, you can effectively narrow down what's working, what isn't working, to get that maximum reach. So from there, we've really, focused on expanding our reach to a level that we're comfortable with. And the next step that we're currently working on is getting that next level of the funnel, and getting these people to convert at a higher rate.
For sure.
So even though we've had a lot of success in the reach aspect, everybody would love a 50% conversion, So if you get, it's unheard of, but you got to set the goals high, and 50% isn't necessarily realistic, but it's just a number I'm throwing out there. And you could definitely see, like, if you were to put those in numbers, if you had a reach of 100,000 people and you're converting 1% compared to like 20%, that's a big difference. So that's where we are now in refining the process. So it's a constant refining of, what's working and what isn't working.
You said something that was huge, and it was this thing where you guys kind of narrowed out what was working and what didn't work. So it sounds like you did a lot of trial and error. Is that correct in my assumption?
Yeah, and for any good marketing campaign, I think that's probably the biggest piece, because until you actually attempt a strategy, you don't know how it's going to result. So you need to quickly be able to adapt, implement these new strategies, and then from there, you've got to be able to do what's working, because you're with a small startup like we are. We don't have hundreds of bodies we can throw at a problem. We don't have unlimited funds we can throw at these problems. So we got to be able to quickly adapt and effectively implement strategies that are working.
For sure. And that, I'm so glad you said that, man, because I like to tell people all the time, this stuff takes time. Marketing is always a long-term thing. It's not no quick push a button and we're in business and we don't have to worry about marketing again. That's not how marketing works. It's a lot of trial and error, and also adaptation when, what you were doing before stops working or slows down. I mean, there's things that exist such as audience burnout. You guys are reaching 99% new people, so you probably won't have that problem for a while. But eventually, when you guys get to that point, you'll have audience burnout. You got to create, obviously new creatives, just keep things fresh and interesting. And that applies true to any industry, not even just the tech, but particularly for the tech, but especially even in the stuff that we do on this channel, which is mainly the landscape, just different kinds of marketing.
Yeah, being able to effectively, reach more people, that's one of the best things. But if they're ultimately not converting off your ads, then you've got to try something new for sure. So in landscaping and things like that, you definitely much more tangible effect, because you're getting sales right then and there. With pocket properties, we've got a wait list that we're converting people onto, so that they're ready to sign up for the platform when it launches. So
right. And again, I mean, for you to do kind of how you guys did it with pocket properties, I'm absolutely impressed, because like you said, what we're doing is tangible. I can show people a picture or a video of me doing this work and everything will look 100%. Everything's good to go. You guys, you have to somehow convince them through your marketing and through obviously your company's objectives and missions that what we're doing is going to be life-changing and revolutionary. And of course, you're able to do that through your marketing and your tactics. And that's something I think a lot of people can gain some information from. If somebody can do that through, advanced marketing and just understanding the consumer, then why wouldn't you be able to do that in any other industry? Again, what you guys doing, I think, is some of the most difficult thing to advertise for. You're a small tech startup, limited funds, limited bodies, and a product that you can't even give to somebody right now, because it's still, you guys are still perfecting it, tweaking all the little things in there. So tell me, what were the big lessons that you learned throughout your marketing process, through the trial and error process? What's something that you think could be universally applied to each industry?
Yeah, something I learned, the entire marketing experience, you've got to always be adapting and learning what's working and what isn't working. So that's more on the traditional side of marketing. But for me personally is, the long-term goal, because, you might start a new strategy one day and you're like, wow, this isn't working, but you got to stick with it long enough to figure out, maybe like a whole week to see how that performs compared to your other your other strategies. Definitely one thing I learned early on was, how to effectively delegate tasks to the individual that needed to be handling that, because we have 4 people in the department, including myself currently. So being able to effectively delegate the work to the right person, having them, understand what the goals are at hand, being able to reach that next level. You can't do everything yourself. You've got to trust the team that you've established to, consistently be improving on their processes, and, trust that the information they're providing you is going to be the best route. Of course, you want to have some input on that as a leader, but ultimately you want to empower each individual on your team to make the decisions that you've trusted them to make.
Trusting the team, man. I mean, that's huge. And again, like you said, something that's important in there. When you guys are implementing a new strategy, it's something about analyzing it, actually reading the data, and responding appropriately to what the numbers are saying. And this is the thing about marketing. If you do not understand marketing, you can get away with, learning some of the stuff that I put on this channel, some of the other content on YouTube. You can figure some of that stuff out and have some mild success, even some great success. But when you're doing it on the level that you're doing, especially when every single penny counts, you have to become a master at analyzing the data, and that's the difference between, let's say, somebody running their own ads. You got your own company, you're running your own ads, and somebody that's a master marketer. Now you have a whole team that's doing this stuff. Analyzing the data can tell you exactly where to go. So I think that's a huge thing that, the listeners will find value with, understanding your data. And if you aren't the guy that's understanding the data and you're not the numbers guy, delegate that process. Again, I mean, you mentioned delegation. Delegation is huge. That's actually what the owner or the CEO, the leader does. They delegate plans. The king is rarely, building up the walls. He's saying, hey, look, you have to build the walls. You have to get the farm. It's the long side of everything. So again, stay focused on your strengths. That's another huge thing. Stay focused on your strengths, and wherever you're weak, find somebody to fill that in. You'll grow a lot faster. You could spend a whole 2 months figuring out the marketing, lose $10,000 and not made any progress towards your strength, or you can hire somebody for $4,000 and make a tremendous amount of progress towards your actual goal. So just food for thought.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Malik. And like the delegation process, it sounds easy to just, be like, hey, you do this, you do that. Really, it needs to be very thought out in what you're asking them to do. You need to brainstorm with your team what they think is effective. And then ultimately, like you were saying, analyze the data after that and be able to implement those improvements. But from what that looks like on a weekly basis is, so what each person in the department, we will set goals for them each week. So let's say the current goal we have for Justin is the ad creation, the organic content creation aspect is, to increase the conversion rate at the bottom of the funnel by 15% from the previous week. So we established these firm goals that we have, we make them realistic that we could improve upon. And then we go and break down, what could help each department, achieve these goals. So we actively analyze basically everything that we're doing to improve it. So you have to be willing to take the time to improve, for sure.
Right. Yeah, and that's that tedious tweaking, which is why people pay marketers to do that. I mean, it's seriously tedious work, looking at numbers and just tweaking one little detail, one little, measurement, one variable here and here. So how did you guys kind of come to finding your target market? I mean, how important was the data in actually finding your market, finding your niche, and tell us about that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of information on the internet about basically a lot of these questions you could ask to start off a marketing campaign. So, initially what I looked at was, who in the world is actually investing? Let's narrow it down a little bit. So what we got was, for the majority of investors, they're from the ages of 25 to about, 40. So that was the main age for, investors to start their investing career. So from there, I was like, okay, so, basically you have to write write this out to be able to give a police description to a cop if you were to want to give details on a suspect. So basically what our main culprit looks like is a 30-year-old male. About 70% of investors are male at that age. So it kind of narrows it down even more from there. And then, obviously there's, to be an investor, you have to have some free capital to be able to invest. So those are things that we looked at as well, like median household income, anything from occupation, things like that. So there's obviously quite a few niches in the world where it will funnel people towards your product. So you've got to be able to narrow that down, use the information on the internet for sure. It's a lot of it's freely available to build that base layer, and then you start implementing your strategies and narrowing it down from there.
For sure. And that's huge, man. I mean, target market is the name of the game when it comes to effective marketing and effective advertising. You wouldn't want to run, ads for investing in real estate to, let's say, people between the age of 18 and 20 usually, because, at that point I was broke. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you was probably broke at that point as well. I don't know many 18 or 20-year-olds up to that point who are actually focused on money. Nowadays I do, because obviously they gravitate towards this content, and those guys are freaking hustlers and killers, man. Seriously. I mean, it's nuts, but they're a rare breed of people, and finding that target market, it'll save you a lot of time. It'll save you a lot of energy and effort when it comes to the whole marketing deal. Now, what we're kind of, I'm going to change topics just a little bit here. Mm-hmm. You guys, obviously small tech startup, not that much funding initially. What gave you guys the drive, the determination, the grit to keep moving during, such a difficult, part? I mean, for me, I would have been like, man, is this going to work? I mean, we got to keep moving, obviously, but I'm sure that those thoughts kind of move through the team's head a little bit. How are we going to overcome this adversity? Explain to me how you guys did it.
Yeah, and in marketing, you're gonna run across adversity on a regular basis. You're gonna run campaigns that just aren't successful, no matter how much data you have on them. They just, but some chance you miss. Right. So really, it's the long-term vision at hand. We're really trying to, much like you on your channel, we're really trying to help people achieve their financial freedom. And this isn't going to happen overnight. So we all, come in with the understanding that this isn't something that just, happens just like that. It's sticking to the long-term vision and understanding the impact that we can have on the world. That's really what drives my team. I know that they're super excited about the possibilities that we have to help people, secure their financial freedom.
Mm-hmm. And that's huge, man. So I'm wondering now, you guys got through that tough spark, got through the journey. And this will be helpful for other people who kind of have similar, ambitions as you guys. How did you get to the point where you achieved, funding? How did you guys got some investors that came in and they saw the validity of your project? How do you guys make it to that point? What advice could you give somebody that's trying to do the same thing?
Yeah, I would, first thing you wrote on your board right there is team. So you definitely have to surround yourself with the right team, and make sure that, everybody's on the same page. Everybody is working towards that same goal at hand.
Mm-hmm, for sure, man. And again, team is pretty much everything when it comes to a project of this scale. So now that you guys got it, everything's run a little bit smoother. What was the kind of the journey, the mind state of the team when you guys didn't have the funding? How did you guys go about that?
Yeah, so we see that like when we did the public crowdfunding campaign via WeFunder, which is still currently live for about another month or two. Now you could see, consistent growth in that campaign with the strategies we were trying. Even a lot of these people will leave comments and show why they're excited for the project. So that was very reassuring, knowing that we are creating a product that people really, really do want. And some of the comments on there, I hope you can bring up a screen share later, or do some editing to show some of these comments that we've got. But people are very, very excited for the opportunity to be able to invest in real estate. Many of these people have been investing for years, and they've always wanted to be able to invest in real estate in a more hands-on way, more personal way. And that's really the opportunity we're providing. People supporting us. We've got a Discord group. We've got all these social media campaigns, and we've got a very active user base that is just eager to get into the real estate investing market.
That's awesome, man. Again, like that's one of the big things I've learned from business. It might be kind of a bad practice as far as sales go, but as far as following up, I rarely do any follow-ups because I only want to deal with people who are extremely eager to purchase my product. And that's the position that you have, obviously some of the people there that are waiting, they're eager to use your product because it's so good. And if you guys create a product that people are eager to use, you can't go wrong unless you just have terrible services and terrible systems, which brings me to my next point. I mean, you guys got a lot going on now as far as you're everywhere, the TikTok, the Instagram, the Facebook, all these different platforms, even YouTube now. What systems have you guys put in place, and how did you kind of create these systems or processes that kind of help things move smoothly across all these platforms?
Yeah, and as for a system, I would say the meeting structures that we do with the marketing team itself. What we do, how we start off these meetings is it would be about 5 minutes per person. We'll have it's called an agile meeting structure. So what they'll do is they'll go over their previous accomplishments since the last time we spoke, basically give a progress report. And then from there, they'll go over their individual goals to get to the next step, or the goal that we've set for them as a department head. So,
okay. So you guys are always trying to reach milestones, just a little bit higher each milestone.
Correct. And I believe it's called the 1% rule. The goal that we're trying to do is, get 1% better at everything we do every time we do it. So what that looks like is very intentional. We're very active in seeing what we've done in the previous campaigns and previous attempts at certain tasks. So we basically break that down into, like I referred to earlier, the goal for Justin this week is to get a 15% increase on his conversion from last week. So just breaking that down, making it understandable, and being able to communicate that with the team and how to get to the end goal.
For sure. Now, how important do you think are systems in that process? I mean, in any business structure, could you guys do these? Could you make that progress without these systems? Could you just kind of, free ball it, for lack of a better word, and just kind of figure out, could you make it work? Or are the systems, are the milestones, are the measurements exactly what you guys need in your business?
Well, I wouldn't say, you need to hit each milestone each week. They're goals for a reason. They're not easy to hit all the time. Growth isn't always the easiest thing, but it takes a constant attempt at getting to those goals. So I would say, yeah, you couldn't really do it without breaking it down into smaller steps, such as a large goal at hand. So I think these systems are very crucial for the success of the company.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things that, I've taken in going into this year. Now, I wrote myself a long email that kind of explained everything that happened last year, and then the experiences for the future. All these emails are going to go into one book one day, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. But to me, systems and processes were the thing that I was missing. Now, I had some, but they only worked for me because they were in my head. I didn't have any SOPs, standard operating procedures laid out for my guys. So I can't disappear because they lose structure, control in their head, because not everyone's you. Not everyone sees everything you've done as the owner and the manager of something. Most of the people working with you or under you, they don't have the overall sight of the entire project that you do. Unfortunately, especially in this industry, people just coming in to make a buck, you know what I'm saying? And they're working hourly. So if something messes up, oh, it's all right. I'm still getting paid for it, which is horrible for us on that end. But again, that's just kind of how people think. So SOPs, systems, actually having guidelines and all that, that's a huge thing that I'm going to be implementing into my business. And again, for anybody watching this, that's huge, that I would recommend you implement that into your business immediately. I mean, at least just start thinking about them, because you're going to have people come in when you want to scale above. Now, again, you don't have to scale above. That's not necessary to live, a fulfilling life. But if that's what you want to do, put these systems in place, start doing that stuff ASAP, at least start getting it in your mind. and writing this stuff out, because it'll save you a lot of headache and a lot of trouble in the future.
Yeah, and definitely with these standard operating procedures, we don't start off perfect on day one, and by no means are they perfect now. So you really got to constantly, just like everything in the market, you got to constantly refine it. So like when we're talking to our team and we're doing the analytics report, I'll mention to Florian, I'll be like, hey, this data point probably isn't relevant for what we're trying to accomplish in these goals. So you got to be willing to, refine that process as well. Everything needs to be improved upon all the time. So there's no stagnation. There's no, just crossing your fingers and hoping it'll work. It's intentionally being attacking each point of information.
For sure. Plan growth. That's huge. You have to have a plan. You still will move forward without a plan, but if you have a plan, you'll move forward precisely, and there won't be any guessing going along with it, man, or at least not as much as it could be. Yeah. And again, that's huge when you're trying to build something that's substantial, especially to the level that you guys are doing it. If you had one piece of advice for somebody that's trying to, start up any industry, whether it's, a tech startup, someone who wants to make an app, somebody that's coming out here that wants to, paint homes for a living or something, whatever the case may be, what do you think is some of the best advice that you could give them as somebody that's kind of starting from the ground with not that much funding? What do you think would be the most beneficial?
A lot of people think that success happens overnight. I would say that, the success that most people see is a accumulation of years of hard work from somebody. So, don't get discouraged if, what you're trying initially doesn't work out. You've got to be able to stick with it and, pursue that end goal in mind and be able to, like I keep referring to, break things down into individual goals to get to that end goal. So that's one of the main things I would say is super important for people going forward.
That's solid advice, man. I mean, seriously, if there's anything out this interview that anybody catches, is that right there. I mean, none of this happens overnight. Nothing. That's just not how the world works. I mean, everything out here, even down to the blade of grass, to the tree, it all started as a small little seed, and it requires some watering. It requires some force, some energy, some struggle, some pain, and some toughness to get to where it's at right now. And again, everything takes time. And now the more you water your seeds, the more you pay attention to the stuff and kind of expedite the growth, the quicker it'll move. But again, you can't make it sprout overnight. That's just not how these things work, especially if you're a small business, you're one guy who doesn't even maybe know much about business, and you're just trying to get out here by yourself. Understand you're gonna get knocked in the head, man. You're gonna go through the trials and tribulation, the fitna, if you will. You're gonna be seeing a lot of this stuff, man. So just keep riding, keep going on your journey, man. You will eventually hit that point. Man, hey, look, we went over a lot of gold information in this video. Now, again, I'm gonna put some timestamps on this so we can kind of segment this so people can come back and review this, and it'll be a little bit more organized and helpful for the viewer. But really, I mean, there's so much great information that you shared on this, on this video here today, man. Again, I want to thank you for your time, coming out and actually doing this, sitting down, talking to me for a little bit, talking to the viewers for a little bit, and just kind of sharing your journey and what you have accomplished, man. And again, kudos to you guys. Like I've never seen a venture that's done this, done it at least how you guys have done it. And you're making tremendous progress, especially in a space that's untapped, but will be kind of the norm, if you will, in 10, 20 years, especially how everything's going digital. Why would real estate not kind of do the same thing? So before I go ahead and let you go, man, do you have anything else that you want to share? Any other final words? I mean, tell us about Pocket Properties. Where can we find more information about what you guys are doing? Where can we follow your journey? Go ahead, man, plug yourself.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity to give these shameless plugs. So yeah, so you can follow us on basically all social media. We're at Pocket Properties app. Instagram and TikTok are two of our most frequent content producing platforms if you're interested in consuming some of the content we put out. And then also we're currently running an AMA series, which means Ask Me Anything series, with our executive team and some special guest hosts that we'll be having on the show as well. You can find that on YouTube by subscribing to Pocket Properties app as well. You should do that right after you subscribe to Malik's channel, of course.
Do it.
And then also I've got a surprise from Malik. I didn't really talk to him too much about this prior, but I've created an affiliate link for Malik. So if you want to support his channel and get 2 free shares of real estate, you can sign up at Pocket Properties app using the link below. And that will give Malik also some credit for his contribution.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Seriously. And again, that's a big surprise for me. You see the smile on my face, man. Hey, y'all sign up, help a brother out, man. You know what I'm saying? But hey, for real though, man, thank you again for dropping the information that you did. I'll drop all those links, of course, in the comment description as well. And anything else that, we need to put down there, we'll go ahead and put down there. Make sure that you drop yourself in the comments as well. Zach can just kind of, have some conversations with the people, chat it up, man. And again, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all the knowledge.
Again, for having me on the show, Malik. It's been great. It's not often that people want to pick your brain about marketing, and it's what I do all day. So I get a little excited with the opportunity to talk to awesome people like you that are actually involved in the field as well. So kudos to you for what you've done with your channel. I know that the first 1,000 subscribers are very difficult to acquire, and you're on track to be at 100 million subscribers in no time. So
200 million, baby. Shoot.
I'm excited for it, man.
For sure. Awesome. Hey, bro. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks again for your time, man. Thanks again for watching. Hit the subscribe button, drop a comment if you guys got any questions about anything we discussed about here today. And I'm sure Zach will hop in there, answer your questions. I'll hop in there as well, answer your questions. Be sure to check out their social medias at Pocket Properties app. Don't forget that. And there's a lot of good stuff on there as well. And I think that's all we got, man. So again, appreciate you guys for watching. Keep hustling, stay focused. Peace.